irony, and I'd like to talk about irony and the irony and the real meaning of being connected and being one to the cosmic intelligence again. And it's beyond spirituality, it's beyond religion, it's beyond identity, it's beyond indoctrination, it's beyond practices, it's beyond our human ego. And this is by understanding in order to go back to the real essence of for where we came from, and in order to go back to the source. And the simplest way to explain it and to say it is to, not the simplest, but in my own words, but I should elaborate it like it it doesn't need to have any kind of performance, spiritual performance, or the massive devotion that we actually see everywhere where we see religion and all these practices. I'm not saying they are wrong, but we are so preconceived, so invested to it. Like, we are so invested with our practices, with our indoctrination, with our doctrines and principles, that we forget, we tend to cloud out or to dim the real essence that we came from. The more we dive into learning and exploring and searching, is the more distant, or the more away we tend to chase ourselves away to the real divinity and to the real source that we really came from, without any tangible knowledge or any intellectual understanding from our own conscious or intellectual point of view as consciousness, making sense of all out of this. And it's just be coming back to the heart that makes everything meaningful again, which everything gives. It gives back the meaning to the questions, it gives back answers to the questions, and it lies beneath every single one of us. It's within our heart, our consciousness, our connection, our soul, our connection to the divine entity, to the source, beyond any kind of archetypes or gods or deities. This is the source that lies behind and lies first, and the primordial, the Om, or the word, or the frequency itself. We don't need to strip out anything, any religious practices, but we just need to remember, like, these practices is just half of the real devotion that we actually what we actually need to rediscover within us. It's beyond the tangible and the knowledge and the intellect. It is beyond words and beyond discovery or mysticism or wisdom. This is our language as human beings, the real love that comes from the real essence of us, the eternal, the primordial. We could never just say as spiritual beings or as human beings to say like we could always be happy all the time and neglect the real essence why we're actually here. We could never just like neglect and bury the offsets and the bad things and all these negative influences that we have ingrained into our DNAs and into our soul throughout the past lives and throughout this life. If we cannot accept or acknowledge our shadows within this life, we would never go out the samsara or the karmic wheel unless we acknowledge the other part of us, because this is the only thing that's stopping us from evolving to the not evolving but from becoming to or to this is the only thing that's actually hindering us from becoming and reaching our highest potential as human beings. It's only the identity and the acknowledgement that we need to acknowledge ourselves, that we have the dark shadows too. And once we acknowledge our dark shadows too, we stop this karmic cycle. Because we could never just like pretend to be happy every single lifetime and neglect the real work that actually needs to be done. And once we acknowledge both sides, we acknowledge our shadows and our guides, the darkness within us, and the brightness, the holiness within us, the eternal, the real essence of us. And once we both have this equilibrium, the polarity, we acknowledge it. That's a time when we can go back to the light and we acknowledge. We open up our highest form of beings, as soul beings, as cosmic beings, as multi-dimensional beings. But without one or the other, we could never ascend, and we could never get out through to this illusion that we've came to embody. And it's only by accepting the Maya and acknowledging the Maya and acknowledging the illusion within us that we could move out this illusion. The only way the only way out is in. So above as below, so within, so without. Pretending to be happy is another responsibility. It's even a harder responsibility rather than to accept our shadows and work with it, do the shadow work, do the introspection. And once we've done this, we give ourselves a big favor. Not only ourselves, but the whole lineage from our families even. We free a lot of entanglements, of karmic attachments from everyone, from our lineage, from it could release a lot of things. Not only things, but souls, our souls. All the shackles that's been tied up to us since how many lifetimes. Now is the time we say stop to all of this. We acknowledge who we really are, the real essence, and we should stop confusing it. We all know we need to be diverse as human beings, but we should start using the real essence of our eternity, our eternal being, and not only through intellect. We should stop weaponizing religions and making profit out of it. We are demonizing religion. Religion is not the real essence of God. The real message of God is just used for religion, for their own purposes, to control the state, to control the people. And that's not the real message of the religion. The Holy Word was given to be pondered, to be acknowledged, to be learned, and to be loved, and not to be used for any kind of purposes and any kind of occult or any kind of profit. This is playing God, and we are God itself ourselves, but we have no right to manipulate and to maneuver the word of God for our own demise, for our own benefit. We've seen enough of these wars, centuries, thousands of years ago. Enough conflict. From the Vedics, from the Sumerians, from all these civilizations, from Lemuria, from Atlantis, Tartarians, all these civilizations came to the downfall because we all use the word of God, or our whole holiness, or eternal beings in a wrong way. We've always somehow tend to go to the bad way and used it for the wrong ways and wrong purposes instead of righteousness. But we tend to manipulate and play with the word of God. And we've seen this for how many thousands of years, even millions probably. Civilizations will never flourish until we know this one single principle, acknowledging the feminine and acknowledging the masculine energy, the good and the bad, the dark and the light, whatever analogy that is. We will always be a society as in a downfall way or direction if we will not learn the single simple principle. We have been always living in the masculine and dominant and Darwinian theory of survival to the fittest, dog eats dog. And this principle has been ongoing since thousands of years, since we even came here, from the Vedic traditions, from even before. If there's good things, there are also bad things that's indoctrinated, that's been used for bad purposes to manipulate the state and the people. Even though if it's all wisdom and good words and good intentions, but the good intentions are also used for bad purposes. I mean, the good words of God is used for bad purposes. And this is what led us to this society that we're living right now. And it's only when we try to marry the feminine energy, the Gaia energy, the cosmic energy, the Shakti, Shiva and Shakti, once we marry it as a humanity, and enough with this barbarous personalities that we've been carrying, a mentality we've been carrying since lifetimes and lifetimes. We can't give this to the next generation, and we will not allow this to be given to the next generation and for our generation. This is the time when we say this thing stops, and there shall be no entity, or no demonic or any kind of occult or any kind of negative influence that could stop this wave. Because we all know, we all came from the same source. even the archons, the reptilians, whoever, the dark entities, they all came from the same source, from the Om, from the raw frequency of the origin of all this existence that we're trying to make sense and aware of. It goes back to the heart. It goes back to the heart. We all have hearts, even if you're an archon or reptilian or any kind of negative entities. Without you guys, we would also never see the light side of us. And without us, you would never see also the negative sides of you guys. So the good and the bad has to coexist. And to find the middle point and to coexist again with no conflict, but the feminine energy and the masculine energy to be married, and to be harmonious, to resonate, and enough dissonance. Because the difference of the properties of light and darkness is not separation. The real essence of it is the coexistence. And that's what we're trying to understand. We don't need to understand, we need to be it. We need to feel it. We need to acknowledge it within our soul. It's beyond words. It's beyond explanation. It's beyond narratives. This is something that we need to re-acknowledge through frequency, through devotion, through love, and through clarity. And the acknowledgement that the light is within us. And before we acknowledge the light, we need to acknowledge the dark side first. Before we ascend, we need to descend. And once we marry both, we acknowledge both. That's the time we go back to our highest form. And that's how we need to do it actually. Everyone has his own path. But that's the objective. Know your shadow, know your light, go back to the light. Polarity leads to divinity.